Hello and welcome to the Unofficial Controller Podcast, your weekly gaming podcast. Episode 5, Xbox, Wanted Dead or Alive. With me, George, as always joined by Tom. Bill Gates to my rusty iron gates. How's it going, Tom?
I'm alright, mate. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You sound like you got the sniffles.
A little bit, yeah, but I'll persevere. It was because I went out of the bunker at the weekend, wasn't it?
Ah, you see, you didn't have all that sort of
Gear
filtered
on,
air
yeah.
to breathe, so you ended up getting an illness. And there was me thinking you might have caught it from down the back of the downstairs toilet.
Probably.
In fact,
it's pretty cold down there.
In a bunker,
There's
all
ice.
toilets.
There's ice on the inside of the window.
There is, but I've slipped myself another conundrum here. If you live in an underground dwelling, are all your toilets downstairs toilets?
Question for the ages.
Well, the question for the ages is what you've been playing.
I have been playing Days Gone.
Ah, me too. Let's hear your thoughts on the said zombie apocalyptic title on Sony's illustrious PlayStation 4 console.
So, I picked it up on launch. I'd booked the day out the bunker.
Yeah.
The night before, sadly, I'd gone and looked at some reviews, which weren't very favourable, but we'll get to that.
They were frosty.
Because a 7 out of 10, we don't think should be seen as a bad game.
No. I mean, listen, look at some of the games that I wheel out. I mean, it was only last week that I gave 24 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
If you're a fan.
And if you ran them side by side, Days Gone and 24, maybe.
There's some... You know, everyone thinks that we throw these shows together, but there's little subtle nods in the background there that only the true listeners would pick up on.
Yeah, so overall, I don't think it's too bad. I'm not that far into it. I'd probably say 6 or 7 hours now.
Well, I'm a bit more ahead of you, but I don't think... I think you've done more than that. I think you've probably done 10 hours to get to where you are.
When we were discussing the story earlier. Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. I don't know whether there's a way of clocking your time on it, but I'll have to have a look. I really like the soundtrack, bizarrely. I listened to the title screen, and then I had a look on the PlayStation Music that you can open up from the homepage.
Oh, yeah.
And they had the soundtrack on there.
That's
I just had
pretty
it
cool.
playing. Yeah, it's pretty chilled out. I quite like that. So that's the soundtrack by Nathan Whitehead. Enjoying the bike. It's really fun to get around the world on.
I want to discuss the bike with you just quickly.
Yeah.
It was like when I think this is not... We're not going to go into spoiler territory as far as the story is concerned,
No.
that's for sure. But when you first get on the bike, it's one of those moments where everything's levelled up. And I immediately got... Considering how much polish this game could have had applied to it, they could have made sure... Like, I remember watching this documentary where they worked for weeks to make sure that the vision you see when you walk out the dungeon in Oblivion is one that invites you to walk into the horizon.
Yeah.
They pulled that for hours.
Yeah.
And
you get out there and you're just like, wow.
Yeah,
Can't
and
wait
it
to
looks
explore
immediately
this.
like there's that there and there's this there to go investigate. It immediately pulls you into the world. It puts a little rope around you and brings you forward. Like, my rope around me, bring me forward moments for Days Gone were not that pleasant. The bike was cumbersome.
I think because the bike's obviously an upgraded one that you work towards, because you end up losing that bike. It's not really spoilers because it's so early in the game. And then you're back to like square one. But that upgraded bike at the start, I don't know whether it's a wise decision to have you on something that's gone that quick straight away, because now with a downgraded bike, it feels really tightly controlled.
It does. The actual level 1 bike
it just feels to me they should have done it the other way around, and you start with a basic bike and then...
I think it would have made that sort of initial welcome to the game world a little bit more pleasant. We talked last week, didn't we, about feeling like the good bad man on the kick-ass bike, and it's not really transpired to be that, has it?
I suppose why they had it at the start, to have the upgraded bike, is to show that he's been living in this world for a while and he's made the upgrades. He's obviously got some bike mechanic knowledge through his time as a biker back in the day. Days Gone. Seamless. Slick Rick. Some cons, it can feel really clunky at times, and there's some bugs in there that we've seen.
I have to admit, there's in a post-Red Dead world where holding X or triangle or whatever it is to interact with something...
square to get on the bike feels really weird.
That does feel weird. But let's just put that for aside one moment. It's the hold to interact button prompt system was one of the most bizarre but most comfortable ways to get physical in the Red Dead Redemption universe. It made you feel like you were physically interacting with that item.
Yeah.
The same idea has been rolled into this, probably during its 6-year incubation phase, where it's like, well, I'm going to be this game, but Horizon's come out, so I better put some deep grass for people to get cover in, and look out, Red Dead's holding buttons to interact with these items, and everyone's saying that's bonding me into the world, so we'll better include that. And then these other games have come out, and they've all adopted these bits as they've gone along, and this interaction with the button thing, it feels clumsy. Like in Red Dead, I didn't really feel like it felt clumsy, but in this one, it does. I don't know why.
It seems to take ages to actually do anything. You go to hold square to get on the bike, and it's like, come on, and then because the button's there and it's loading round the wheel,
yes.
like the prompt.
Yeah.
Sometimes you feel like you don't see it, and you feel like you've clicked it, but you haven't, and then it goes back to the start again. It's very weird.
Yeah, or I see it get round to the end and let go,
and you haven't actually fully completed it.
No, so then you've got to do it again. So
Yeah.
that's been something that's sort of...
It's had 3 patches since launch already.
I know, and I've suffered from a mega bug, unfortunately. And
Is that with the audio?
Yeah, and something's still not right with the audio. And I read a Reddit about switching exhaust tips around because it changes the volume of the bike. And I think there was a bug attached to that where it changed the volume of the whole world. As I said to you off air, there were times where there was no in-game sounds at all, apart from Deacon St. John's sort of avatar mumblings, grunts and groans as he climbs things. Now, normally in the orchestra of all the music, all the in-game audio for the environment and for the creatures and the baddies around you, it all blends into one seamless thing, and it doesn't sound like he's making that much noise all the time. But when you're playing with no other noise bar Deacon St. John's sort of noise samples from the game, it's very strange.
Yeah.
Absolute silence, and the zombie or the freaker that you're fighting makes no noise, and all you can hear him like absolute silence everywhere else.
Yeah.
It's raining and it's lightning, nothing.
Yeah,
you can hear nothing.
It's not really. It's harsh to say, but it's not acceptable for a game that's been in development this long.
Yeah.
And you've wheeled out 3 patches already.
Yeah.
It's not really fair on the consumer.
I think
I don't mind patches and stuff, because back in the day you'd get a game, and if there's a problem with it, that'd be it. Like, there's no updates to fix it.
No.
So
no mercy, no blood. I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Well, they had a save glitch on that. I remember sending my cartridge away.
Yes, they did,
and they replaced it. But the fact that it has had these 3 patches shows they're committed to getting it fixed. But it should have been fixed. They should have delayed it again if needs be.
Well, we've summed this up, I think, off air quite succinctly in 2 different sort of ideas. One, if I came to you with a notepad, or if I came to any generic gamer with a notepad and went, what sort of game do you want? Oh, it's got to be open world. All right, yeah, let me write that down. What else do you want in it? Oh, if we could have zombies in it, that'd be great. Okay, yeah, zombies. Yeah, what else are you into? Oh, it'd be really good if we could be like a really bad character, you know, someone with some edge, a biker. Oh, right, a biker, yeah, no problems.
Yeah.
And I said to you before, let's wheel in Gordon Ramsay. First of all, he's going to shut the bunker kitchen down. Then he's going to wheel in here and say to you, tell me all your favourite foods. Haribo, steak, that guinea pig pellet that you like, that we get you from the garden centre, and all the other favourite things. Now, individually, right, you could eat those and enjoy them. But if even if Gordon Ramsay mixed them up in a pot and served them to you, combined, they wouldn't be very good. Now, the more I play Days Gone, the more I it's very strange, and we've talked about this
It's
before.
The cocktail mixer of the past 2 years of Sony exclusives.
And if it come out 2 years previous to today, it was scheduled to, I think we would be talking about Days Gone through a totally different window. We'd be saying, this is Game of the Year contender. It came out. How can Sony have brought out Days Gone and Horizon Zero Dawn at the same time? I think Horizon Zero Dawn plays tighter.
Yeah.
Having played it this year, within the last 3 months, I'd say it plays tighter. But the more... When you first get a game, and I don't know if this is just me and Tom, but I'm wondering if the listeners feel this as well. When you first get a game, it doesn't feel like a game. It feels like magic.
Like the experience.
The experience. But then over time, the experience disappears, and you start to pick up the formulaic bits, which say, hi, I'm an interactive piece of entertainment. I'm a video game. It's like, oh, yeah, of course. When I first get it, I buy way more into the world than it is. Now
I didn't even have that to start with.
I was going to say, the good thing with Days Gone is my actual sort of like, wow, this experience moment lasted about 10 minutes. And then I was into, right, what are the mechanics for this to be a game? And actually, take the pretense away, it's a good game. Like we said in the opening, 7 out of 10. It's not even a bad score.
No. I do wonder whether the zombie genre is a bit overcrowded at the minute, and that's not done it any favours.
I don't really feel like anyone's ever done...
There's only so much you can do with it as well.
Well, we've had Dead Rising, haven't we?
Yeah.
And Dead that was Rising. Loads of zombies on screen.
We've had Resi 2 this year, but
Resi 2.
I'm a big fan of that, so
I'm trying to think of games that give you the same... what was the title we were talking about on Xbox? State of Decay.
Yeah, no, that's something I want to discuss. State of Decay 2 was the last game I played through on Xbox One. I thought it was pretty good. It was way more buggy and glitchy than Days Gone. And I was playing Days Gone, I was like, this is like a high-res, graphically better version of State of Decay 2.
Which, in your opinion, for the listeners, is the better game?
Yeah.
Which one?
I mean, they both have got differences.
Get off the fence, which one are you going to want? If you had to go to a desert island and take Days Gone or State of Decay 2, which one are you taking?
I think Days Gone would just pip it, even though I've not finished it. It's just a bit more polished. I'll give it to
after everything we've said, this thing is still polished.
Compared to State of Decay 2.
Okay.
Yeah. If you ever want to dig that out for the pit in the garden, then definitely.
It might already be there under a layer. Archaeologically, we can dig back and look under layer and predate things from layers to drop into the pit because we know when layer went in.
It just doesn't feel quite as good as Spider-Man, God of War. I mean, that was a hell of a 1-2 combo, wasn't it? Spider-Man, then God of War, then Spider-Man.
The problem for the Sony exclusives were that they kept up in their game, and it happened quick and it happened fast. And every studio, like prior to, remember, just go back though. Do you remember before God of War 4 came out, or God of War as they call it on PlayStation 4? There were rumours of it being There were
a mess,
3 months before launch. Apparently, it was an unplayable mess. Game of the Year, Platinum.
Yeah.
What? How does that happen?
There?
Maybe the same theory was applied to throw everything at the wall. This is Sony Ben. Throw everything at the wall, says Bossman Sony, and whatever sticks. By the time we go gold, it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Like we say, it's not a bad game.
I read some comments about the Unreal 4 engine as well, that with them using that, a lot of the Sony engines that I use for their exclusive games, it means Sony have been able to help those developers like
so it really
like Insomniac and stuff to just basically help them
harness the full power of the PS4. Yeah.
And I think that's been a complaint with many people, that why did they go with Unreal Engine 4 when they could have just got a lot more help?
When it launched, none of the other Sony studios had built an engine. Poor old Sony Bend, they've had a lot of stick over Days Gone. They're not actually that big a studio.
No.
So what you got to remember is they are punching above their weight with this game.
Yeah, and to be fair, it looks great in places, really good. You can see they have put a lot of passion into the game.
There's one strange thing
I just don't think it's clicked with people.
Sometimes it can feel very soft focus, especially Deacon. There's other times where you move the camera a little bit and everything looks absolutely exquisite. You can see the stitching in his coat, and photo mode is an eye-opener. for the level of detail that are in the
like the
textures.
animals, we discussed this earlier, like the deer and the wolves and stuff. Some of them look like they're lifted, you said, out of gun.
Out of gun on the original Xbox. Well, let's even go for the PS2 version.
Yeah.
They look wonky. I had one sort of... I wish I was better at recording gameplay footage, because I had one fly by me like one of Santa's reindeer. Obviously lost, taking a little holiday in the woods. A flying reindeer, that's acceptable in days gone. We talk about the white-bearded Jedi from last week. There you go.
Yeah, so that's our thoughts on Days Gone so far.
So the question... That's Days Gone. I think we've aired our voices.
Yeah.
I feel inclined to see it through, and I'm probably going to at least see what going north with Boozer means.
I just don't know whether I can. It's not...
Wow.
The character and story just haven't really grabbed me and gone, right, this is going to be a great story.
I think that you're probably maybe one mission away from it just... I'm not going to say you're going to go, it's the best game I've ever played, but I think you're probably one mission away from the key and turning in the lock, and you're going, I can probably want to see a little bit more of this.
Yeah, I've been upgrading my weapons and the bike and stuff, so it's a bit more enjoyable. I recently got, like, one of the first machine guns, and when you got, like, 10 or so freakers running at you, and you can gun them down real quick, you feel a bit more like, yeah, I'm surviving this, and I'm going to get on the bike.
Until I got the focus. Have you used focus yet?
Yeah, I've used that.
So that's bullet time, Red Dead Redemption time, or whatever
bullet
it is.
time.
Yeah, I was struggling with the controls for the gunplay. It didn't feel crunchy. Now I know it needs to feel a little bit like the gun's worn out and broken. It's not been cleaned properly in a while.
Yeah.
The ammunition's probably dodgy.
I think the freakers AI seems quite good because they run at you and it almost causes you to panic.
I thought we were done with this conversation, but let's keep it going,
we'll just
because
go a little bit longer.
AI of the freakers embarrasses the AI of the human opponents. And if you'd have asked anybody, they'd have thought it would be the other way around.
Yeah.
If I'd been banned, and admittedly I always hark on, well, this is what I would do, and I know I can't even complete an equation from a GCSE maths book, but surely they would make the AI of the human control characters way in advance of the Freaker AI. We talked in the preview feature last week about how the Freaker AI is kind of lowered, and you would expect an increased AI from the humans to really make you think. So, because humans are the deadliest people out there.
Yeah.
You know, they'll cut your throat for a drink or whatever, and you can get up close to these people.
The freakers should just be like a rage-induced thing where they see you and the hunt's on.
Question, how have you been taking down camps? Because we know I'm not the king of stealth, yet I've been able, because of the Freaker AI being so low, even I, clumsy Colin over here, has been able to slip through Days Gone like a shadow.
I think the stealth is unbelievably easy.
Yeah.
It feels like you can't be spotted half the time.
As long as you stay out of
and get in those little bushes, move along.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
it's
I've
good.
been caught out a couple of times, but for the most part, it's like Fisher-Price, my first stealth game.
Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't want it the other way, because it just destroys your soul trying to go back to checkpoint 1 to go a little bit further to then be caught again.
Yeah,
I tend to use the stealth a lot on it. Maybe when we get better upgraded weapons, we're going to just go in there and
the sort of insane dart on the you use the
one that causes enemies to attack each other.
Use
I haven't.
Freaker Nest residue. One of the best times. I'm going to say one of the best times I've had in gaming. We've already listed in all the episodes we've done already all these different ideas. This is not in my top 10 gaming moments, but I had a nice time with it last week. Hiding in a bush, loading up one of those sort of poisoned freaker darts, firing it at this guy, and he kind of acts exactly as you'd imagine he does. He kind of like hooks up a little bit. Then he like jumped up with a machine gun and independently started taking down single members of his team. And he did that in such a way that made the eye look absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
He went on the hunt, and the other 10 characters couldn't deal with him. And then I watched this unfold, and they were like, they didn't want to fire because it was one of their friends. And then he did, and they were like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, firing back, which I thought was cool. And then another one of the missions that I did enjoy, or this was just like a sandbox moment, is I stumbled across an enemy base, and Deacon St. John sort of pretense is arrival at the base or the area with murderers and rapists. I better make sure they all die. You know, that line.
Yeah,
it's quite strong, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some pretty bad dialogue in the game. I've seen some clips further along as well, and I've just been like, wow, that's like old school Channel 5 movie level of.
Well, it kind of maybe is what it's meant to be. Maybe we're missing the beat a little bit.
I want to ask you one thing: are we all suckers for hype, us and listeners and everyone else out there? If this had come out and got 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, would we be hailing it now as the next great exclusive game?
Well, I've been there with Horizon. When it came out, everyone was freaking out and telling me what a great game it was, and I got that on launch and thought to myself, I'm not enjoying this. And it took me 2 years to click with that game eventually, and see it. And when all of a sudden it didn't become this great futuristic open world, and I just took it for a game and enjoyed the mechanics of pressing A and the crunchiness of feeling the contact with the enemies and how you move around and do the roll. That's in the end, it was the actual pure gameplay that came through the screen and spoke to me. Like Days Gone's pure gameplay is of a lower echelon than Horizon.
Yeah.
But there's still a little bit of something there. It's like there's times where I find I'm enjoying myself, and then it's, something will happen. Like a deer will fly by.
Yeah.
And it's like, Or I had a mission where I had to take down a freaked bear, an infected bear.
Right.
And it kind of got stuck on a plant pot, so I just pounded it with hand grenades, and it died. And it's moments like that where
takes you out of the world, doesn't it?
It does, and it's a shame. Do you think we've killed Days Gone? Is it a freaker now, looking for a nest to go and lick its
I'm going to
wounds?
stick with it. Deserves its 7 out of 10. I hope people try it. If you maybe want to, some people might want to wait till it's down in price, or until it is fully patched that there aren't the glitches it's got.
They're not game breaking. Well,
no,
I know
they're
there's
not.
game breaking glitches out there, but I've had no sound, which some would consider game breaking.
Yeah,
I don't consider it game breaking.
For 50 quid though, some of them are. If you really want to put it out there like that.
If you want to put it out there like that, Tom, you've also got to do the ratio of hours spent equals time per hour.
Yeah,
you're still going to get a better return than you did from Avengers. And I told you Gandalf was in it. Before we kick Days Gone down to the dark cave in which it's going to spend the rest of its days, where it should with all its freaker friends, assembling a horde to ruin your best laid plans of hunting. Have you been playing anything else?
I've dived back onto Devil May Cry 5, onto the Bloody Palace, just to see how far I can get. I think I got to like level 20, which is like you then get the first boss out of the main story.
Yeah.
Died on that. So it's pretty tough, but I'll be trying to persevere with it and get a bit further. I played some Street Fighter 5 with some friends. Not played that in a while.
What the hell? First of all, friends in the vault, in the bunker. Yeah. Secondly, you've got the pledge out and you've been and dusted off Street Fighter.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Yeah, good. It's a real well-made beat 'em up, as you'd expect from the Street Fighter series. When it launched, it didn't have a lot of great press because it was very bare bones. One of those titles where it's launched with what you don't consider a fair package, and it's added DLC characters over the years. I picked it up on PS4 when it was the arcade edition, so it did feel more like a fully fleshed out game.
Yeah.
But yeah, always a good multiplayer to have. I downloaded the Joker DLC for Smash Bros.
You don't know what it is. You don't even like it, but it's free.
Yeah, don't know what Persona is, but it's not free. I believe it's $4.99 for our listeners.
Oh my goodness, that's more than
you get a stage and a character.
Is that a fair price? You're the Switch resident.
Yeah, it's high quality stuff as well.
Before we digress and go any further into the preamble, which is the 24 minutes that we've already gifted the listeners.
We're still on the news, right? No,
we've not even linked.
We haven't
to
even
the
got
news.
to the news yet.
So I think let's draw a line in the sand. Tom, we've scoured the very darkest regions of the internet to bring you the latest stories. Unfortunately, I don't know whether Mum was doing the hoovering and pulled the cord out the back of the modem to the bunker PC, but there's not been much news this week. Tom, first up, what you got for me?
Overwatch update. Reinhardt drinks light beer.
Whoa, this is something I can get into. Reinhardt the Steinmaster, the devourer of sauerkraut. Are you telling me he drinks light beer? Tell me that light beer hails from Germany.
No.
Oh.
Overwatch's official esports league has partnered with AB InBev, and specifically Bud Light. The first sponsored event will be a fan activation defined by tradable bits as the process of attracting people, whether they be die-hard fans or casual bystanders, to your brand through some sort of experience. At the Dallas Fuel's Bud Light Homestead weekend, Dallas Fuel are a Overwatch competitive team. Just to
clue in the unclued like myself.
Followed by another Bud Light homestand weekend in Atlanta, and then the LA rivalry weekend in August. Bud Light will also sponsor a trio of Overwatch League televised broadcasts, which are on April 27th, 8 till 10 p.m. On ESPN2, July 6th, 3 till 5 p.m. EDT on ABC, and July 7th, 2 to 3:30 p.m. EDT on ESPN2.
What's your thoughts on that? Did Overwatch need an official beer?
I think the Overwatch League seems to be quite popular, and it obviously generates a lot of money.
Are you going to now only drink Bud Light?
No. I don't honestly watch much Overwatch League, even though I play the game a lot. So people will be talking about, let's run this strategy that Dallas Fuel ran, or London Spitfires ran in the last league. I've no idea what you're talking about.
I'm embarrassed for you.
You would love it if you got into it.
I think I don't...
You missed the free-to-play weekend as well.
I know. I mean, you warned me about that. You pre-warned me about that. You gave me every opportunity to buy the game and join you online, and I didn't.
No, you can't use that cheap turbo controller though online, can you?
Gets me banned, doesn't it?
It does.
They think I'm a cheat.
It's a smurf if you're like an undercover good player on Overwatch. That's the term.
A smurf.
Yeah.
A blue-faced, white hat wearing. Oh my goodness, we nearly went full Ric Flair intro with that.
What else we got?
Well, get your Switchblades at the ready, guys, because Shakedown Hawaii is nearly out on the Nintendo Switch. V-Blank Entertainment has shared a brand new trailer to keep us excited. V-Blank's retro parody, Retro City Rampage, will be bringing its chaotic, ultra-violent action to the Switch on the 7th of May. A 3DS revision is in the works, but that edition apparently needs time before hitting digital shelves. The PS Vita owners are also luckily set to receive a physical version when the which the Nintendo platforms won't. But the Switch eShop page is live, so stop by and find out more, Switch owners. Shakedown Hawaii, the sort of spiritual there's way too many S's in there, so I'm going to take my teeth out, apply some new Dentagrip and put them in. The spiritual successor to Retro City Rampage. I'm excited by Shakedown Hawaii. It looks awesome. It looks like it's got a combination of those old GTA vibes crossed with fun 16-bit graphics, while also giving me that little bit of a Hotline Miami vibe. And I love Hotline Miami.
I remember you showing me that. It looked pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a twin-stick shooter, but it's one with style. It doesn't... I don't know... something about the way it works, it just feels very, very crunchy. I like it. Crunchy is a good word.
The 3DS revision is in the works, has me a bit worried, as in needs more time. Is that going to ever see the light of day with the Switch being as popular as it is?
The 3DS has still got a pile of active players out there. The fact it needs work...
It's a massive install base, isn't it, on the 3DS still, I guess?
Yeah, I think so. And maybe it's sort of showing that the 3DS is starting to feel a little bit tired.
Yeah.
It's been a very good machine, but it launched a long time ago. I know Shakedown Hawaii isn't probably the most demanding game ever made, but by the time you add in some of those graphical effects and other bits and bobs, I bet you it's probably quite a demanding game. So that's why the 3DS version is going to need
a bit more work.
Tweaks.
Yeah.
What we got, Tom?
Games, and more games.
Games.
It's that time of the month again, so we're going to list the Xbox games with gold. And
well, they were rumoured, but we've now had it confirmed.
Yeah.
PS Plus titles.
Okay, so Xbox games with gold first. We've got Earth Defense Force, Insect Armageddon, Xbox One and Xbox 360 available May 1st to May 15th.
Yeah.
Outcast Second Contact on Xbox One available April 16th to May 15th.
Apparently that's a remake of a game from 1999. I didn't know about this, but apparently it's
Can't
pretty
say
good.
I've heard of it.
No, me neither.
The Golf Club 2 featuring PGA Tour Xbox One available May 16th to June 15th.
Yeah.
And Marooners Xbox One available May 1st to the 31st of May. And that's a party game.
And the rumoured PS Plus titles that have now been confirmed: Overcooked and What Remains of Edith Finch. And also a quick note on the PS Plus scenario: our UK listeners is currently 25% off the 12-month package.
Oh, good.
Get it while it's hot.
Yeah. Always worth doing.
Gotta wonder, looking at the Xbox games with gold, some interesting titles there. A little bit more concerned about the PS Plus offering.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that either of those titles
weak,
are
isn't it?
quality, but when you've got games in your library like the Order 1886 you could give away for free, why wouldn't you do that? If you're not going to give away Uncharted 4, why not give away Lost Legacy?
Yeah.
Something to hook the PS fans in. I mean, Sport for Choice on Xbox. Are they better titles? Probably, if you add them all together, probably equal to. Depends how you want to look at it. Depends whether you're an Earth Defense Force fan or not.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's some people out there do. So, did we miss anything? Or do you have an opinion or take on the news that we missed? Tom, if we have made an absolute glaring error in the news, how would the collective masses interact with us?
You can reach us at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com or just DM us on Instagram or Twitter.
Now, go on. What are you going to tell me?
A little bit of news. Did you see the Sonic trailer for the film?
I did, and unfortunately, the combination of lemon and hydrosulfuric acid was not enough to scrub that image off my retinas. What's going on with Jim? What's going on with Mr. Carey?
Surely if he's in it, it's going to be slightly good.
Just feels like he's.
Did you see that bit in the trailer
again,
where he's like? It looks like he's like the real Robotnik, and he's got like the goggles and the moustache.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I did see that.
I wonder what goes on there.
At the beginning of the trailer, you see something's going to happen between him and Sonic, where he gets inadvertently, or Sonic's going to frustrate him to the point where he just goes full boom. I mean,
what do you think's the look of Sonic? He looks very strange.
I'm not keen. I've seen some alterations online where people have just changed his eyes slightly to give him that more classic Sonic look.
Yeah,
and it looks great.
Yeah,
but this weird Sonic guy that we've got at the minute, I don't know. I get night terrors. I'm convinced that movie Sonic lives under my bed, and whenever I fall asleep, he creeps out and just does weird things to me. I don't like him at all.
Yeah.
Strong.
Very strange little creature, isn't he?
Very strange. And especially we've seen the mistake in the Sonic games when we bring Sonic into the real world. Like that time that we all want to forget where Sonic fell in love with an anatomically correct human female. A princess of a world.
Really?
You were saved from this.
Good.
It happened. That's why everyone was so grateful for Sonic Mania when it
You must have buried that one deep in the pit anyway.
Oh, it predates all games.
Something. Speaking of video game movies, something we'd like to maybe do in the future is a feature on what video game would you love to see made into a movie that hasn't been done already?
Pong.
Easy answer. Who's directing? Spielberg?
No, I want
Resurrect Alfred Hitchcock.
Who's the guy who did Last Jedi?
Oh, he's not a popular man, is
Him.
Him.
That guy. I've erased him from my memory. I don't want to remember what he did.
I'll remember it in a minute because I was reading some Last Jedi stuff the other day.
Well, before we go any further in and off on a tangent or go anywhere we need to go or not go, we're quite deep into the show, and we're going to make a plea, aren't we?
We are.
This is like Comic Relief, Red Nose Day. Actually, it's nothing like any of that because we're not doing anything for the poor or the misaligned of the world. We're actually looking to you guys. If you've been enjoying or you do enjoy what we talk about on here, and I know it's the inherent fevered ramblings of two guys that live in a deep, dark hole, but if you're enjoying what you're listening to, in a moment I'm going to give you a little command to pause the show and then go do this sequence of events. So what we would like you to do is to pause the show when we say, go into the system or setup of however you got to find this podcast. So Amazon, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, on your Amazon Alexa, on your laptop, either through Buzzsprout or any of those other mediums. Just take a moment to go in, click like, subscribe, put a review down if you feel that way inclined, and then sit there and think to yourself, one friend, you've got to text one friend, just the word unofficial controller, podcast, then figure it out for yourselves. Spread the love. All right? So in a moment, when I say pause, that's what we need you to go do. Pause. Guys, Tom, welcome back to the show, everybody.
We're here. We're
Tom's
really...
in tears. It's almost like he's watching the end of a film, Watership Down. He's down on his knees. He's sobbing.
Bright eyes.
Bright eyes. The concrete's ripping through his play-worn knee jeans, and the harsh concrete of the bunker has crept into his knee skin. He's down. His hands are clasped together like a naughty choir boy that's been kept behind because he said rude words during the song. Right? He's there. I'm also the same. Thank you for doing that. We appreciate it. Let's see the show. Technically, that should see the show double overnight.
That would be something.
Loyal listeners across the world, thank you.
We're really grateful for the listeners we've got at the minute, but we really want to grow this podcast with a community together.
Yes.
And make it something hopefully even better than it is
now.
We're learning as we go, and we just want to get better and better.
We want to give you guys a digital playground where you can all get together, and the one thing that binds you together is this rambling of us two guys. And if that gives you a community to discuss the way I can't say words with S's in, if I'm not careful, I end up just studioing all over the floor. You know, there's got to be a 14-page thread on some of the ridiculous words and mispronunciations that we've done. Seconda, you name it. Or even some maybe if someone's listened to all of our content, they can remind us of the one funny moment that we've produced so far this season. And maybe do a little bit of a thing about that. We want to give you guys that. You can have some fun. We've always said, bring out the trolls.
Yeah, we will.
When you're as lonely as we are, any interaction.
When we get feedback, it is like light at the end of the tunnel, isn't it?
It was only yesterday that we got a wonderful bit of feedback on Apple, on iTunes.
Yeah.
I wrote it out with my best crayon, and I took it through to Mumsy, and she gave me a glass of milk.
Good reward.
Good reward. What more does a man want? For God's sake. Right, you've stayed with us this far. We've begged and pleaded, like Comic Relief Night, and now we're into the meat and veg. It's that time. It's the feature of the week. And this week, as we said at the top of the show, Xbox exclusives. Now, we like the Xbox. Original OG on launch, 360. Skip the Xbox One, I have to admit. Tom, you picked one up.
I did, yeah. Not a launch, mind you. Mainly down to the price and what I thought was like a good launch title.
Your life situations have changed. You're not a launch adopter anymore, but you certainly know your thing. So we're going to talk about the Xbox exclusives, the games that we feel made the platform, and we're asking 3 questions. Dead, alive, missing in action. Tom, Xbox exclusives, the ones we know that have checked in, that seem to have a pulse last time we checked. First on the list, what we got?
We got Gears 5, or Gears of War, as the original
As the franchise is called?
As the first one was called. So we've seen many of those over the years. The estimated arrival for Gears 5 is this year, 2019. We don't know any more than that.
Not even the green screen's found the answer to that.
No. The last Gears was Gears 4, launched October 2016, and was pretty good. I played it through with a mate on the the co-op campaign.
Yeah. It's always been good for that.
Yeah, it's real good online co-op cover-based shooter. If anyone is not entirely sure what it is, with some great multiplayer options.
I like the story in the Locust as well. I find the universe is pretty cool.
The story 1 to 3 for me is really good.
Yeah.
4, I didn't quite click with me.
1, 2, and 3
quite as much. So interested. I think 5 is obviously going to carry on from 4 with this new generation of
well, I don't know her name,
soldiers
but the female
characters.
Protagonist. Well, one of the female characters from 4.
Yeah,
I forget her name. Is one of the main protagonists in this one.
Yeah,
which again sounds pretty.
So you got JD Phoenix, who is Marcus Phoenix's son.
Yeah,
Marcus being the main protagonist in the first one. The female character, forgive us, I'm not sure on her name, and I believe there's another guy as well.
The woman, whoever it is, it's the woman in the last one that had something going on with the Locust. She had some sort of vibe with them from memory, didn't she? I think she was able to she was somehow linked to Locust.
Yeah.
There was a story thread there that they're going to pull on to populate.
That's
Gears
what
5.
I mean. Like, I remember 1 to 3 way more than I remember 4. Yet I played 4, the most recent. So it says a lot for the stories in 3.
Okay, well, on that note, I mean, we haven't seen
the first 3.
We haven't seen a Gears game since 2016, which fair enough. That's not oversaturation. It's 3 years development time to bolt Gears 5 together.
Yeah,
that launched in 2006 by Epic and Cliffy B from memory, and it's 2016 was the last time we saw it. So that was 10 years. So that was like a game every 2.5 years.
Yeah,
I mean, we've talked about this before. Xbox like to stomp the mud hole dry, don't they? I mean,
yeah.
Poor old. Are we going to be up to Gears 20 before the rest of the franchise?
I think my problem with 4 was the fact that I was expecting to see like that massive leap and almost even change the gameplay somewhat, like a la God of War 3 to current God of War.
Oh, you really wanted to see like
a massive change, yeah. But
which they could have done through the medium of his son, because time's moved on.
Yeah,
weaponry's
I
changed.
think it have kept it fresher, but sometimes people are worried about taking the risk. Like the developers worried, if we change too much, we're just going to alienate the current fan base.
There must be as many fans that rock up for like the same, but they don't realise, they're like, oh yeah, I want that game. I want that game to be the same, and everyone it to change. But then, like 2 titles into that game never changing, they're bored. It's that risk the developer always has to roll of like, I don't want to alienate my core fans, but I need to attract more, and I need this game franchise to grow. And it won't grow unless, like in the mid-2000s, whenever a game came out, it had to incorporate some form of...
QTE?
No, not QTE. Extreme sports. Like Kingdom Hearts 2, you've got a skateboard.
Yeah.
So, how I meandered into skateboard and then meandered out again, I'm not sure. But next one on the list, Halo. One of my top 10 games, if you've listened to the top 10 games episode. A real... wow moment for me when I got the original Xbox.
It was a powerhouse display, wasn't it? I remember going around my mates and it got Xbox at launch. I went for the GameCube. I was looking at Halo going, I wish I owned an Xbox as well.
It was a great time to be an Xbox owner. There wasn't many of us back in old sunny Blighty Hole back in the day, but do you know what? The console's done well for itself. So Halo, what an awesome way to open it up. What a great way to show people what the hard drive is capable of, allowing all those different
that massive
sequences.
Controller.
You just can't put the Duke down. Mate, the Duke's one of the best controllers ever made. Ever made.
You can get those again apparently now.
Just because you've got the hands of a 12-year-old girl, it's not my fault. So Halo launched 2001, rumoured or confirmed popping its periscope up in 2019 and fully submerging in the back end of the year, I should imagine. Last time we saw the Halo franchise, Halo Wars 2 in March 2017. Tom, forgive me, that doesn't even sound right.
I think there's been Master Chief Collection and stuff released on PC.
Yep.
I played Halo Wars 2 and really enjoyed it.
You are the guy for the RTS. If I'm the retro guy you wheeled out last week, from now on, whenever an RTS appears, I'm wheeling you out. Whether it's on PC or Samsung Android phone, you're the guru.
Yeah. Halo Wars 2, I hope they probably make a third because I've really enjoyed both of those.
To be fair, I thought 1 was absolutely killer.
Yeah.
The way that you could zoom in and it was like...
And to put an RTS onto a console as well is not an easy thing. And I think they did it really well.
Did you get to play Halo Wars 2?
Did I play 2?
Yeah.
Played them both.
Oh, right.
Played and finished them both, like campaign. Dabbled with the multiplayer, but again, there's a lot more.
Dabbled with the multiplayer? Just dip my hand in a little bit.
Yeah. There's some great strategy minds out there, so I was probably lacking in some of the matches.
Even with your Lord of the Rings training, you still fell short.
Oh, what a game. Don't start me.
Let's not. We want this to remain specifically technically, that was an Xbox exclusive. I know it was on PC as well, but technically it was an Xbox exclusive. But thank the heavens I've been able to steer it well off this list, because you've already heard way more about it than you should have. Looking on that list, Tom, it's a game that I like to see. It's a new IP, thankfully. They actually managed to get something out of Rare eventually, and it was Sea of Thieves, launched 20th of March 2018. Current and ongoing, just had an update, another one scheduled to be rammed down the pipes. Yeah, hoisted up the mainsail.
We've talked a little bit about this, haven't we, in the podcast before. I played it when it launched because it came with a Games Pass, which we've said before has been a good value for money.
That is good value for money.
It didn't feel like high quality Rare work. There's so many cool little details in it. I thought you would be quite keen of it because of our long, lengthy discussions about the great naval warfare game we'd always want to make.
Yeah, but the thing is, you sold it to me as Black Flag, but done open world to play with your friends. And I finally do my best to get the control of the
It's like a Disney Pirates of the Caribbean ride.
It's like watching your nan's VHS copy of the time her and Grandad went to Disneyland and went on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. It's not even like being on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. It's Sea of Thieves. Is it Bethesda's Pirates? It's probably, for me, it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted a realistic sim type game. And I know there's elements of like, if you drop the anchor too soon, it wears your ship down, and if you do this and that and the other. But
yeah, it's weird how they've got very realistic things like the wind with the sails and the compass and the steering the wheel on the boat. Yeah, is that even the correct?
It'll do.
They do all that, and then it's got a real cartoony style.
Which
seems to sell it a bit short.
Yeah, I'm not offended by that. And if it was done in a slightly different way, I'd find it quite appealing. It's not unlike Wind Waker. It's not unbeautiful to look at, but it just seems to be a right mismatch of stuff. Overall, I think it's a pretty good title, but it's not one for me. And I don't think you've chimed in as being a fan either.
No, I just...
See, when that came out...
Back in the day, Rare were like a massive... flagship company of Nintendo.
Yeah, but me and you have both dusted off for Rare titles, on the original Xbox and this one.
Yeah, but if you could time travel, go back and play them in that time, they would seem amazing. Still.
Well,
it just feels like they've dropped the ball a bit over the past 10 years.
Well, I think I made the rather harsh statement in another one of the podcasts about they haven't made anything good since they made the avatars. But this was meant to be a fluff piece for Xbox. Let's not be too down on this interesting list of games we've got coming up.
Oh,
and
yeah,
some interesting things to talk about.
We did skip over Halo Infinite, the future Halo title, which we should probably just drop back to.
Well, that was ETA this year, though, isn't it? That one.
possibly we'll see what happens at E3, whether we get a reveal, or maybe will it be one of those bridge titles that bridges current Xbox to next gen?
You got to be thinking that's what they're...
Yeah, I think it's
got to be their game plan. What they're going to try and do, I feel, is pull off an Xbox 360. At the minute, they've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So anything that they can do to make Sony look bad and not being for the gamers, they're currently trying to establish. And Sony are doing a cracking job of painting themselves into a corner. Like, here's Overcooked and Evedish Finch. All right, I thought you said that you were taking the other games away so you could offer us better, and this doesn't really feel like it's happened.
Yeah.
And we've talked before about delisting games.
The cross-platform play as well took them a bit to get their head around.
The cross-platform play was one of the shrewdest moves by Nintendo and Xbox to put shame on their biggest market competitor.
Yeah.
I would have done it too. If you can create a talking point about someone not talking and tell everyone about how, oh, hang on a minute, we do let crossplay happen. It is that easy. Come join our platform. If your friend's got a Switch and you've got an Xbox, it's fine. Change friend codes, go home and play that night. It's possible. If you're the kid in the corner of the room who's got the PS4, you're only playing with other PS4 owners.
It's a bit like Nintendo and Microsoft have gone, right, Sony, you're not coming to our party at E3, so we're going to talk about you and how bad you are.
Let's just roll in a little bit of E3 hype. I didn't realise when we said it in the news last week that Square Enix's timetable announcement for E3 is even more special because they've took Sony's position on the main stage.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, let's hope they've got something good to show.
Well, one presumes they have. So we've already talked about how the stage is clear for Microsoft to do something really special. I'm expecting to see...
The Halo game. I think we will.
I'm expecting to see... Here's Xbox 2, or whatever we're going to call it.
Oh, you think we'll see it?
Yeah, I reckon it'll be out for Christmas.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Huh, maybe.
If they released at the same time as PlayStation, at the moment with the way PlayStation's established itself, if you launch at the same time, PlayStation's got this funnel of people that are willing to drop down on PlayStation product. They've won a lot of good favour. Xbox are on the up and up. Remember when they launched the 360? They just pulled the rug from under Sony's feet and said, bring out 360 this Christmas.
Yeah.
Sony couldn't react quick enough. They were like, we'll be out in a year.
Yeah.
And in that time, a lot of people who had been sort of bored or sort of frustrated at that current generation of consoles, OG Xbox, PS2 and Cube, that had been around for a time, but the whole games industry had moved on, like, I don't know, a good country mile clear of that. And people were kind of frustrated that all they had at home was PS2. I know me and you were on OG Xbox, and we were kind of like, yeah, it's all right, but feels like we're at the end of an era. And then round that corner for us was 360. And it launched, and it was like, wow, this is great. And no one gave PS3 a blink of an eye.
Yeah.
PS3 launched, it was too expensive, it didn't have any games. Classic failing of a console. If you're too expensive, you don't have any exclusive games, no one's going to buy it.
Yeah.
I feel Xbox are setting themselves up for a massive announcement at E3 and a slew of decent launch games.
They've had that bit of time, haven't they? Like that breathing room of like...
I think
it's felt like there's not been much come out from them, but maybe they're just storing that time.
I think when you launch a console,
those games ready,
you've kind of predicted and forecast to your internal big boss man, or got the new Xbox coming out, boss. Oh, great, like what you did with the 360.
Well,
yeah, this is going to make the same money. And then like a couple of months in, the boss is like, there's no way this is going to make the same money as 360. Pressure's off, go do the best you can.
If we look at the Switch and Breath of the Wild, which admittedly launched on Wii U as well, I think we might see a similar Halo Infinite on Xbox One and next gen Xbox launched
the only problem where that's been an issue, never been an issue before, but it could be an issue now, Xbox One X. It stands as the mastodon, the guy that reaches out to Xbox One vanilla and then reaches over to Xbox 2
I think that might just be brushed under the carpet like a dirty little Mega CD or something.
I'll tell you what, one thing I would love to see out of this generation of consoles is how many have Microsoft sold?
What, of Xbox One X?
Yeah, no one knows. No one knows of Xbox One or Xbox One X.
Yeah, I think there's some confusion in the marketing as well. Again, like Wii and Wii U.
Yeah.
It's like when Johnny Smith's parents go down to Game or other retailers.
Other game retail stores are available. I don't think you need to worry.
I don't think we do.
No.
There's not that many anyway.
There's only really Granger Games, then your local pop shop down the street. And Stingray.
And Stingray, of course. He can get anything. He's probably got the next gen Xbox anyway.
He has.
But we'll ask him later.
Yeah, so let's move this conversation forward. Let's keep the feast going forward. So who else has checked in as being an Xbox exclusive and alive? What other games got a pulse?
Forza.
Forza's still alive?
It is.
Of course it is.
The original Forza launched on 3rd of May 2005. I never realised it was that long ago.
A lot of these titles really did start their life off on original Xbox, and I think they're starting to creak a little bit.
Yeah, I played Forza Horizon 3 was the last one I played, but Forza Horizon 4 was the last game
I've
launched
looked
2nd
on
of
enviously at the Horizon games. I think they look good. I think that there may be the spiritual nod to PGR that we might be looking for.
I remember talking to you about Forza Horizon 3 and telling you how great it was, like that free roam element, and they are really good games. The Forza Motorsport series I've not really dabbled in.
That's the one where I've dabbled more.
Yeah, and that's more like the simulator.
I've had some quality times out of that game.
Yeah.
Sharing skins, unlocking different cars.
Oh, I remember, yeah, the different designs you could do.
I used to try and spend ages doing like a Ayrton Senna replica, a Kia NSX.
And then we realised you could just go online and go get someone else's far more advanced.
Hey, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
But, you know, the Forza franchise had that on original Xbox, obviously picked up on 360, the motorsport part of the franchise anyway. Really enjoyed it. I would have been there 3rd of May 2005 for sure. Got that game, thought it was stupendous. I obviously previously owned and played the Gran Turismo franchise, which is probably its only equal out there as far as console race sims are concerned. Obviously, we've got Project Cars and other games around there, but as the standalone tentpole we're the racing game of the Xbox franchise, Forza acquits itself really well. Always has done. It's Turn 10 Studios, I believe is the name of the developer. Their attention to detail's been exquisite. I mean, when they first brought that game out on original Xbox, you know, comparing it to the games on the PS2 and other bits and bobs, you were looking through the glass of the lens into the bulbs of it, and it was a well-developed game. Tight on controls as well.
Yeah, I was disappointed not to get to play Forza Horizon 4 because I recently sold my Xbox, and it was set in the UK as well, which was even worse because we've always wanted that like open world racer in the UK. I've watched a fair few videos.
There's
on
times
it, really
when I've been
impressive.
spending money on retro tat, and I'm like, "Do you need Xbox One?" Maybe. I think if I got one tomorrow, I'll probably get it.
All of this PlayStation memorabilia would be hauled out to the pit, and then it'd be an Xbox.
It would probably just go into one of the deep storerooms in the bunker with my Sega memorabilia and my Nintendo. It just gets rotated round, doesn't it? Moving swiftly over from Forza to Crackdown. Awesome. That's
feedback already?
It's got to be, hasn't it?
Awesome. That's good.
The Crackdown. Now, we were there, launch day, 360 for this. The original Crackdown. It's a game that reminds me retrospectively of Infamous on PS3 and PS2 and PS4. But Crackdown was the originator of that. And I believe it, especially Crackdown 1, I thoroughly enjoyed. Thought it was probably one of the best games I played on 360.
Yeah, we dabbled a lot in that. I remember going through the city, collecting those orbs where you kept increasing the jump, and it was like real addictive. Like you just like, I can get that little bit further now. And there was vehicles as well. I remember you used to go down underground into that like garage bit.
You had like a
base of operations.
Yeah, it was a good game. That was. I remember it. I have nothing but fond memories of it. That sort of shell-shaded or heavily outboarded style of the graphics almost comic book style. They were really cool. That tower in the middle of the main city that you could climb up. I mean, this game...
It's a real... It earned the term sandbox, definitely.
Definitely.
It really was.
Yeah, and the free running, or whatever it is I'm trying to call it.
It was pretty much that, free running with some really extreme jumping.
Yeah, but when you could finally do the jumps and come down and smash down onto the floor.
Oh, yeah.
And you could pick a car up and throw it. It's I would say out of the exclusives we've talked about and we're going to talk about, I know the last one wasn't received that well, but I think it's something they could do more with. I mean, with this list here, Gears 5, Halo, Sea of Thieves, Forza, Crackdown, we see these as the alive and kicking exclusive franchises on the Xbox that are still rocking up and turning up on a day in, day out basis.
Yeah.
But we've got some here that seem to have just gone... Before we get on to the ones that we're going to bury somberly around the back of the bunker next to the lair pit in the graveyard we know as Graveyard for Games, we've got some missing in actions. Now, the first one on that list, Sunset Overdrive. That is... When I first saw that game, I was intrigued, nay, hooked. Tom, you've played it?
Yeah, I did. I played it, and... Speaking of games with gold, I got it on that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Again, when you're in second place, you can afford to be a bit more experimental.
Yeah.
And for sure they have been. Giving away Sunset Overdrive. Big coup, first of all. An inherently Sony developer prior to releasing Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, so they did Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah, I think that's Insomniac. They poured effort into Sunset Overdrive. Now we know where they ended up going and producing Sony's Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
When you then look back through that lens and you see, Sunset Overdrive, see what they were doing now.
Yeah.
See where they were going
comparisons,
now.
definitely.
Yeah, and the way the free roaming in the city and the way the city works, considering they built that from the ground up, Sunset Overdrive looks great. The controls look awesome, and those gameplay routes that, let's face it, when you boil away the experience element of the game, all that remains is satisfying feelings of punching buttons on your controller.
Yeah.
And Sunset Overdrive, like its PlayStation brother, it ticks those boxes. It's fun to play.
It is, yeah. A lot of fun.
Do you think that's something that's been missing in, Gears? Let's look at the heaviness of this. Gears 5, it's fun to play, but it's pretty heavy at times. As in storyline.
Gears 4.
Gears 4,
Sorry.
yeah. Gears 5 will be.
Yeah.
The Gears franchise up to this point is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Halo is pretty heavy.
Yeah,
Sea of Thieves is what I would call a fun title. Forza's very heavy. And Crackdown plays the line quite...
Between both.
Sunset Overdrive is the first sort of title that's popped up. Its branding was neon colours, exciting, fresh. It popped off the screen. When you see it running, it literally is alive with colour, and the city looks awash with it.
It gets rid of that stereotypical, all those games, we've talked about, Space Marine shooters, brown, grey, and black.
Yeah. And Sunset Overdrive was like the antithesis of this. It was everything that I feel the platform needed. It needed more Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, I think it did need some more titles like that.
So we've listed that as MIA because we don't think we're going to see that again, are we?
No, will they come back to develop any games for Xbox? We don't know.
Well,
they're clearly going to be working on a Spider-Man sequel.
I think that's where their time's going to be invested. But I mean,
that'll take a lot of time.
They've got a couple of teams, so they could be they could be invested into making Spider-Man, but then also have a small team preparing concepts, artwork, and other bits and bobs. It might not be over, but we think that it probably is.
Yeah.
There's another title I'm sad to see. Well, I'm glad it's missing in action, so as a lonely wife during wartime, I can live in hope. But I've got a funny feeling it's not going to take much to nudge this into DOA. What's that? Now, we've both shared some awesome memories of this game. What we got?
Fable. The original launched 2004. The last one we saw, in our opinion, minus a very odd card game.
Mobile card game.
Fable: The Journey, which was on the Kinect.
Let's not talk about that.
No, we don't want to
I
talk
was a
about that
Kinect
either.
adopter at launch. Every single game I bought for it was terrible. Let's not... Well, Fable 3 was terrible, but we're not going to quite go there. Fable 1 on the original Xbox. I remember... Do we need clothes? Do we need food? Or water? Or potion? Do you remember that guy, the Dungeon Master?
Yeah.
Your health is low. You need food or potion. It's like, all right, mate, crikey. I know. I can see the red gauge that says I'm very close to death.
And led by the great hype master himself, Mr. Peter Molyneux.
The lion-headed man.
It was going to do things that we knew it never would.
Peter Molyneux, 22 Candan, as he's known now. For the story about how he one time behind the youth club drank 22 cans of Panda Pop. And he fitted. And after that, became a games developer. That's where you heard it first. So Fable, when it launched, it was a game like no other. He promised us to be able to plant an acorn and watch it grow to an oak tree during the game. Yeah. And there were bits that he put in, and do you know
Fable
what?
2 upped it for me a lot, with a lot more of those
Fable 1 was a game you didn't have
promises.
To play to enjoy 2, but 2 did come good on a lot of his promises.
Oh, I remember that game where... I'm not even going to say spoilers, because you should have played that game by now. Where you see your character at the end and it spins through his different phases of how he's progressed through the game.
Everything that was going on in whatever that was, 2007, I think, when maybe Fable 2 came out, 2008, whenever it was, I can't remember.
And having your dog.
The dog.
Spoilers, dog dies.
Oh, well, no, not anymore.
Oh,
because if you get upset enough on the internet these days, you can change anything you want. The dog undied due to unpopular
I thought you could choose at the end to bring back one of 3 things.
I thought that came in as a patch.
I don't know. You could either, I think, bring back your family, have loads of gold, or your dog. Most people are going to go with a dog.
Of course they are. It's what you're invested in. Who gives a damn about digital avatars of your children?
Couldn't you be like a bit of a player as well and just go and start another family in a
think
town?
You could, yeah. I think in another town.
And then the other one could find out about that one. And then...
There were lots of...
Are we like...
Is this how Fable 2 got made?
Yeah.
And then this can happen. Yeah. And then Peter Molyneux...
Are we actually remembering the facts, or is this Molyneux's height we're remembering?
I think maybe he listens, he sits eating a sandwich. I see Peter Molyneux eating like a cheese and onion sandwich. It's wilted a bit. It's 2:00 in the afternoon, and he's hearing developers in his business talk, and he's like, "Wow, is that possible?" He writes it all down. Then he turns around, packs his thermos in his lunch bag, refolds the foil around his cheese and onion sandwich, and heads off to E3, full of this stuff.
He is hype train personified. He
is the motive power of the hype train.
Going on what we might see, I did hear rumours one of Microsoft's big studios was going to work on Fable.
We've heard this, haven't we?
I think it's too big an IP to let go to the wayside.
Let's look through here. Gears has got some... At the moment, I feel like Gears of War franchise has got some good fan support.
Yeah.
Halo as well.
Massive, really.
Massive. Halo's going to outstrip Gears unless you tell me otherwise, but as far as I'm concerned, as sort of fan loyalty and hype goes, Gears and Halo have got a following. Gears is slightly behind Halo as far as popularity is concerned. Sea of Thieves has got its own little niche.
Yeah.
Forza remains ever popular with the Xbox fan community and those light racers, and there's plenty of those out there. It's a big cross section.
Crackdown bombed a little bit with 3, didn't it? It was the days gone of the Xbox, as I've heard many comparisons say this week.
Yeah, I think so. So Fables, you look at those.
It needs that big action RPG.
To be honest, it's got enough. Even after everything they've done to it, even after all the promises of 2 that would then turn your save game into your hero in 3, none of that actually happened.
It was Fable Legends, that game that got canned as well. That was co-op 4-player.
Yeah, that could have been. To me, Fable's a one-player game.
It should be. Yeah, that should be their big tentpole adventure game.
Yeah,
and
it's got fan support. It would sell consoles, I think. So it's something that we need to consider. Now, before we move into the section where we're going to talk about our fallen brothers, there's some good news, because Xbox have recognised that their exclusives catalogue is a little bit lacking, and they recruited Obsidian, Ninja Theory, and they're putting a dream team development of people together in their Santa Monica team. Now, the questions I've got are Ninja Theory, Obsidian, and the aforementioned newly assembling Santa Monica team. Are they going to get to work with new IPs? Or are they just going to get given one of the old franchises in the bin that we're going to talk about?
It's a question for the listeners as well, if they want to get in touch.
And how would they do that?
They can reach us at questions@unofficialcontrollerpodcast.com.
That tattoo paid off.
You made me get it.
Yeah, and underneath that, you've got
direct
Stingrays
messages.
drawn you a little birdie.
Yeah.
Unofficial cons, 1.
They were meant to be swallows, they look more like Amazons.
He only knows how to draw a swallow.
I think we might see Fable go to... Your safe bet would be with Obsidian.
I would love to see Fable make an Obsidian.
They've got that Outer Worlds game coming out, so they're probably going to be busy for a little bit more with that.
But that's their last...
multi-plat.
That's their last multi-platform title that they're going to move out there. And Ninja Theory have shipped Hellblade Sensenua's Sacrifice.
I really want to pick that up this weekend, possibly, but we'll discuss that.
It'll be in the sale, or it'll be in CEX, CEX, call it what you like. It'll be available. It's also available on eBay.
And Stingray's boot, of course.
If you're feeling lazy, just ask Stingers to pop over.
Yeah.
Don't even let him get out of the car, let him reach down and pop the...
I heard he used to be a delivery driver for CEX.
Surely he was a delivery driver for like Blockbuster or John Papo's Pizza in town. We've gone way off topic. We want them to work. Obsidian would be perfect to work on a Fable title with the words and the way they bond the world together, and all of that would be absolutely fantastic. Ninja Theory, put them in a darker room and feed them a sandwich, see what they come out with. And this Santa Monica team, could we see them rest Gears or Halo?
If it's a new big development team, give them a new IP, new idea to work with.
I would
brand
love.
New.
We've talked through some really awesome games that everyone will remember. 20 years from now, you'll say to someone, "Tell me one of your favourite gaming moments." Someone's going to mention. Everyone's going to have maybe one of these in their top 10.
I know a game we have missed off here.
Is it
a
Grant
game called Recore. Do you remember it? For Xbox, well, you wouldn't have done for Xbox One. Recore, yeah.
What was that?
You had like different robot companions. I remember seeing the trailer and getting really hyped for it, and it came out and it was a bit like Days Gone, a sort of 6, 7 out of 10.
Oh.
I think that might be worth a retrospective one day.
Oh my god! Right, okay, add it to the list.
Yep.
The 3-story
any listeners played Recore and enjoyed it?
Let us know. Now let's just very quickly here, just talk about sad times, Tom. Let's talk
the old
about
franchises.
The old franchises,
as far as
we know, have been kicked to the curb. They've been sent off with full military honours. They've been buried at Microsoft Towers in Bill Gates' back garden. But the list of the fallen, and I'm just going to run through it quickly, Tom. Blinks, Perfect Dark, Cameo, Project Gotham Racing, Conquer, Alan Wake, Jade Empire, Crimson Skies, Ninja Gaiden, Shadow Complex, Grabbed by the Ghoulies, Geometry Wars. It sounds like bring me all your waifs and strays. Bring them here to die.
That is a graveyard of fairly quality titles.
Look, Blinks, you know, when that first came out, everybody needed a franchise platform game.
Was it Blinks the Time Sweeper?
The Time Sweeper, yeah.
Never played it, but looked at an interesting game.
It used the hard drive again to enable you to forward and rewind time. Interesting title. Perfect Dark. I mean, there was a time when people would have sold There was a time when the head of Nintendo or the head of Sony probably would have sold his own mother into slavery to get Perfect Dark secured on their
console.
Was
that a launch title for 360?
It was.
They
Perfect
really
Dark
came out of the
Zero.
gate with all them titles, didn't they?
Cameo. I mean,
Another
all
one,
these games were meant to be Cube titles, and Microsoft acquired them.
Oh, it was, wasn't
Then
it?
they were meant to
Cameo,
come to original Xbox, and that got paused and moved to 360. Conker. He's not the most popular character these days, but there was a time
No.
where he was quite popular. Here's the one that me and Tom probably mourn the most. Alan Wake.
Yeah.
As an experience, probably, I didn't mention it in my top 10, but it would have had an honourable mention if we were doing honourable mentions. That was a great game. The soundtrack was incredible. The graphics looked incredible. Again, do I want to dust it off and play it again anytime soon? Probably not, because the memory in my brain is one of such a sumptuous, beautiful game. It was almost, I've described off-air L.A. Noire as like that tall, leggy, sort of Italian-looking woman. She's very like suave, For me, Alan Wake's that calibre of cat. It's a little bit too cool. If you only give it 7, it's because you don't understand it. If you only give it 6, it's because you don't understand what she's trying to tell you. It's advanced conversation. She's talking about the fall of Rome, and the person she's trying to talk to wants to talk to you about what happened in the Beano last week. Alan Wake and L.A. Noire, they're that sophisticated high society girl that just comes in, sits down, but she knows more about anything than anybody. What a beautiful game. Jade Empire. You'd think if you'd secured the people who had made you all those other good titles and you brought them here and you said, make me a Japanese game, make it awesome, Jade Empire tick those boxes.
Yeah, BioWare.
BioWare, when they used to make good games. I'm sorry.
Savage.
I'm sorry.
Well, they're one of the EA cull, aren't they?
I don't think EA are going to have the patience, to be honest, are they? Another one there, Crimson Skies. I think that was the original Xbox launch title. That has so many fans out there. A return of that, a remaster or a remake of Crimson Skies would sell gangbuster numbers.
I'm sure we saw that last year at E3.
It's probably happening, all right?
It's probably happened.
I've probably left the lid off the white spirits in the ventilation room, and it's probably caught up with us. Ninja Gaiden. I mean, there was a time where people would have killed for that. I know it's made other appearances on other consoles, but it was classed as an Xbox exclusive. Shadow Complex, a game that you and I played the wheels off when that came out. Xbox.
Like a Metroidvania style, 2D perspective.
Good game.
Yeah, that was with their like Summer of Arcade thing they used to do.
That was. I remember the first Summer of Arcade. It felt
like something real new and cool, like the idea of it.
Yeah, like a festival.
And then I think if you bought all 4 or 5, I think, did you get the last one for free? It was a good deal, I remember, if you bought all of them.
I just remember that whole Summer with Xbox vibe feeling like, I remember, my mind plays tricks on me, but I think they did like bands and music as well, wrapped around
Probably
games.
so, yeah.
Like a streaming event that you could watch and play through your Xbox dashboard, once they'd abolished the blades, of course.
Yeah.
Also
Poor
on this
Blades.
list, talking about the franchises that took a list of the Fallen, the dashboard Blades.
Yeah, we'll chuck that on there.
It's in, we miss that,
Yeah.
don't we? Take your
Easy,
avatar.
simple, stylish.
Have you seen it lately? It doesn't look very stylish. Tom, we've got a little window of time here. A little window of time. Now, Stingray's on his way. But the fans, the listeners, have reached out to us. Now, when you're out doing your pickups, we're going to ask you on social media, be it Instagram or Twitter, to tag those #StingraysBoot. So when you're out and about doing the charity shop hunts and all that other stuff, we're going to ask you to send us your pickup pictures so we know you can show us, and we're going to read out the best ones online. Now, this week, the listeners have been asking Stingray to do a house call.
He gets around, doesn't he?
He gets around. And if we just flick over to using the power of the internet to have a look at...
Nissan Bluebird definitely isn't Lisa, is it?
It's... If it is, he's going to have a serious over-mileage charge. And familiar names to the show here, which we expect from the core audience. Chris McClum, as I call him. He must laugh. His name's Chris. I announced it the same way last time as well, but let's call him, because my accent sounds quite hilarious doing this, Chris McClum. What's he been out getting at Stingray's boot? Well, it looks to me like he's managed to get himself the operating instructions for a CPC 464, and I think this might be my favourite because of how eclectic it is. And we want you to mix this in. If you find a dodgy VHS copy of Battle for Endor out in the wild, we want pictures of it. So he's got himself an owner's manual for the CPC 464. He's only secured himself out of the Bluebird's boot a Commodore tape deck. Hasn't he? And what else? Chris McClum's eclectic taste means that he's picked up a CD copy of the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. He's also
He's quite a music fan. Also, he's got Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells.
Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells.
What a banger!
To be honest,
good pick up.
like
It's awesome.
Yeah, and he's
remember
also...
my dad having that on vinyl. Probably worth a bit of money, maybe.
Your dad's so cool. He just, he walks by and he freezes people's drinks. Tubular Bells, both on the CD format, and he's also secured himself a copy of Spider-Man on the PlayStation 2. Stingray's boot holds
He's
no
been
bounds.
generous.
It's got some range, hasn't it, Stingray's boot? Next up, in the Stingray's boot hashtag, we've got Ozcat. We've heard about him before. And Tom, it looks to me like he's gone all out for the Shantae collection.
Wow.
Now, you can look at these for yourself. Hashtag Stingray's boot. The man's finished Shantae. He's only gone and got himself a little bit of a penchant for the game. He's got it here. He's got manual and kart on Game Boy Color. He's got it on the Switch. He's got it on the Vita. He's got it on the PlayStation 4. Hold, fire. He's even got it on the Wii U. The guy doesn't know
the Wii U?
He's got it on the Wii U.
This guy's a true collector.
He is. But guess what? The fun doesn't stop there for Ozcat. Look at this eclectic mix. He's obviously a fan of the Scottish, Russian, English agent James Bond Sean Connery.
I had that Mario Golf as well. That's a great title.
He secured himself James Bond and The Hunt for Red October. He's a fan of the Connery. The only thing that can top that off, Highlander. He's got himself a copy of Yu-Gi-Oh! On the Game Boy Advance. All the other titles that we've mentioned are on the original Game Boy. So he's got Yoshi's Cookie, Toy Story 3 and Ants. And that might be on the colour actually, but he's also gone and got himself a copy of Mario Golf 2. And Ozcat's the man that just doesn't stop. Amongst all of that, he's also got another mix of NES carts, Popeye I can see, a load of GBA games. Ozcat's ratcheting up like a machine. And before we move on, just quickly, Get Switched On has gone and secured himself a copy of Tetris Duel, Crash on the Wii, and just before we wondered if he had gone insane, to support the fact that he hasn't, he's picked up House of the Dead 2 and 3 on the Wii. I can't imagine Crash Mind Ever Mutant plays well, nor motion control adds anything to that game's environment. There's a discreet yet ever telling rumble of pebbles flicking up from a loose dirt track road and hitting the back of a very cheaply bought mud flap.
It's the double denim wearing.
Oh my god.
Permed wig sporting, Bluebird driving, the Stingray. He's here.
Announced like a sedated Ric Flair can do. The man's had a little too many added in extra, and he's in that happy place between sleep and wake. Tom, it's that time of the week. It's time for a peek in what we affectionately call Stingray's boot. What's nestled between some counterfeit nappies and a dodgy copy of Battle for Endor this week? Guess what? Here's one for the fans to talk about behind our backs. How for the first time this far into the show, it's the first time I've been able to say that line without stumbling over my own lips. These are the new release highlights for the week April 29th to the 5th of May 2019. Tom's dying in the corner. Mumsy's just a little bit concerned. Stingray's wearing a hypodermic mask so he doesn't contract any of the biological
outside air.
The outside. Well, he lives in the outside. You sure?
Inside air.
It's like, what's going on? Listeners, these are out in digital or physical, or will be by the time this podcast's in your feed, but could be region dependent. Tom, I'm going to fall on the sword and kick off. Or do you want to do it to get your mouth warmed up?
I'll go for it.
This looks like a good title. This was technically going to be my Stingray pick of the week, but I've deferred it. In fact, shall I make it my pick of the week?
You can if you wish.
Mummy, please, may I have Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark that Tom's going to tell you all about? What's it coming out on, Tom?
It's coming out on PC, PS4 and Xbox on April 30th.
Ooh.
Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark is a tactical RPG, much in the vein of great classics like Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre.
Tactics Ogre, good game.
It features fully hand-drawn environments and sprites in a 2D isometric perspective, as well as an original score by Jan Morgenstern, composer for Black Sigil Blade of Exiled. You will need to use your strategy and cunning, as well as master a complex class system to conquer the challenging battles ahead of you, unfold a mature story centred around your position as one of the Arbiters, an order dedicated to keeping the peace and the balance of power throughout the lands. While many allies with personalities and goals of their own will join your ranks during your adventures, you may find yourself favouring a cherished non-story character due to the ability to fully customise them. By changing the portrait, name, clothes, hats, colour and accessories, every ally is unique. Reminiscent of Final Fantasy Tactics both in scope and style, Fell Seal's intricate class system offers a widely varied array of customisation and possibilities, allowing the player to choose a class, a subclass and multiple passive abilities for every one of their characters. Countless possibilities and combinations are within reach, and crafting your perfect band of combatants is only limited by your imagination and cleverness.
Now, I'm excited for that because we haven't seen a game that's in the same genre as Final Fantasy Tactics or Tactics Ogre. Tactics Ogre probably being my preferred one for a long time. If this is laying out this, it's like if I met you for the first time and I introduced myself. Hi mate, I'm Nigel Mansell. Yeah, you know, that guy who's really quick in racing cars. You'd be like, oh, it's interesting. This game introduces itself as being Final Fantasy Tactics. That's lofty praise, and I hope it lives up to it. Now, that was my Mummy, please may I? But there's another one here, and I'm sort of torn. Unfortunately, I already own this, so we'll go with that first title as being the Mummy. Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac's Age, coming out this week on Xbox and Switch, April 30th. Return to the world of Ivalice. This HD remaster is based on the smash hit 12th instalment of the Final Fantasy series, which is shipped over 6.1 million units worldwide, featuring a new and reworked game design. Not only have the graphics and sound been updated to take advantage of the power of the new hardware, but the core game design has been tweaked to produce an evolution of the original Final Fantasy XII fitting for the current generation. Enjoy a classic adventure reborn. What you got? Have a little rummage, put that one down, pick out another one. We've all heard about the herbs on Game Boy Advance. Pull out this other tile.
Fade to Silence on PC, PS4, Xbox.
Are you going to get behind this one?
I don't know. It's THQ Nordic, who like to release a lot of games.
Oh God. I'm already concerned. The the publishing arm of Stingray, THQ Nordic, produce the sort of title we've been playing in this bunker for far too long. Tell me about Fade to Silence.
It's out on April 30th.
Knowing Stingray is going to make sure he can make most bang for buck. I guess it's going to come out on every platform available, including Game Boy Advance. And for the fans, Chris McClung, Fade to Silence. Not Fade to Black, because that was an alright PS1 game. Fade to Silence is also coming out on the Amstrad CPC 464, Chris.
If only. Fade to Silence is a survival RPG set in the cold and deadly world of a post-apocalyptic winter. Never seen that setting before. You take the role of Ash, a natural but tormented leader, exploring a post-apocalyptic frozen wasteland, gathering the resources necessary to establish a refuge for survival. With dwindling supplies, simple tasks like upgrading equipment and collecting materials require an immediate expedition to scavenge the necessary items. In the search for survival materials, players must navigate a vast territory in which they will encounter eldritch monsters and an even greater foe, the unrelenting winter. While freezing temperatures constantly take their toll on Ash, the deadliest event is a constant threat, a blizzard. If caught by surprise, it takes every ounce of skill, determination and luck to survive that blizzard.
Fate to Silence sort of screams to me that's the sort of game where when the bigger boys were coming round, you would hide your Nintendo stuff and prop up next to like Mortal Kombat 2 or 3 or whatever it was at the time. A battered copy of Fade to Silence. Oh, I'll play the wheels off of that, mate. Absolutely love it. Yeah. Post-apocalypse is what I'm all about. Like, oh yeah, Tom, we thought you were just one of the smaller boys. We thought you'd be playing Zelda and Mario, but you were like a real guy living a post-apocalyptic winter.
Oh, you know me so well.
Bigger boys, mummy, quick, hide my Nintendo plush. Johnny McBiglegs is coming down from the top of the street. I don't want him to think that I'm not a bigger boy. Oh, does that mean? Let's have a look in Stingray's boot. I'm greedy, so I'm going to pull out this massive box. Oh, and it would be, wouldn't it? Starlink Battle for Atlas on the PC. Oh.
Is this the one with the? It's this Ubisoft with the spaceship toys.
Go into the generator room and pull that little... I've got a little plastic tub in the generator room. You didn't know what it was. It's got Disney Infinity in it. It's got all the different link-up setups for that Skylanders game.
It's basically Ring Raiders, but new age.
It's another USB hub and craft and things to buy is Starlink. It's swooped onto PC, April the 30th. In Starlink Battle for Atlas, lead a group of interstellar pilots as you build your own starship, explore the Atlas star system and battle the vile Grax and his forgotten legion. It includes 4 starships, Zenith, Neptune, Pulse and Lance. I like how that last guy... You sit down for a meal. Listen, boys, Zenith, Neptune, Pulse, Lance... Will you stop flicking peas at your brother Neptune? Lance. I don't know how Lance got in there at the end. Couldn't have called him like Genesis or Mars or whatever, but no, Lance. Named after your uncle Kevin. That would make him Kevin though, wouldn't it? It was his middle name. Everyone called him Lance in the village. 6 pilots. Mason, Judge, Chase, Hunter, Levi and Razor. Now that's more like it. You can imagine them sounding...
You want those names of like Predator where it's like Dutch, Dylan, Poncho, Billy.
If we moved Lance down into those names, Mason, Judge, Chase, Hunter, Levi, Razor, and David. Anyway, I think I've probably murdered that enough, but it's a whole new gameplay experience. I shouldn't really take the mickey out of it, because from what I've heard, it's a pretty good system and a pretty fun game.
The Switch version is meant to be real good with the Star Fox sort of shoehorned into it.
You bringing something onto the Nintendo platform? Let's shoehorn one of our characters on it. You doing amiibo with ships?
To be fair, they probably made a better Star Fox game than the last Star Fox game made by Nintendo.
Well, we don't want anyone to think that we're beating down on that, so I'm going to quickly switch over to Tabletop Racing World Tour Nitro Edition.
That would probably be my pick out of a very bad week. Very poor boot choice.
Are you really sure you want this?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I've seen the next page.
You want to read... Well, I'm thinking about what you're going to play with for the next week, not just the pain of a 30-second readout. But you take Tabletop Racing World Tour. You go on air and on record to the fans are saying this is your mummy.
May 1st, coming out on the Switch. Get behind the wheel of 16 ultra-cool miniaturised racing cars and engage in combat racing like no other. Master over 30 tabletop racetracks and over 180 events in a bid for glory. Then take the battle online and compete with the best in the world. On Nintendo Switch, you can bring a friend too. Race offline or online with 2 new split-screen game modes. Go head-to-head in split-screen versus battle and take on the AI, or get online with split-screen online. Crush your enemies with 8 cunning power-ups and 6 unique weapon wheels and blast your way to victory. Pint-sized power-up racing has never looked so good or been so much fun. So some of the key features of the game, we've got 2-player split-screen gameplay, both offline and online. 8 players online, that's pretty decent actually. Multiplayer combat racing. 32 tabletop racetracks set in 8 theme locations. 4 circuits per location. 16 cool, fully upgradable, iconic miniature race cars. Over 180 unique race events to challenge your skills over 25 hours of gameplay.
Ooh.
8 cunning power-up weapons designed to attack and slow opponents or protect yourself. 6 unique weapon wheels help you get an edge over your rivals. Funky exclusive breakbeat soundtrack by producer Wes Smith of Juice Recordings.
Did you mention the word weapon wheel?
Yeah. The fabled weapon wheel.
Let me, before I move on, let's just the day's gone. Wheel, the crafting wheel. Please.
That feels clunky.
Take that away from me. I wanna throw a Molotov. Oh, I selected dagger.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably enough days gone. Close to the Sun, on the PC, May 2nd. Let's get the case out of Stingray's boot. Let's have a look on the back. Interesting cover art. It's 1897. Deep in international waters, the Helios stands still. Dark clouds loom overhead as unforgiving waves crash against the hull. Colossal effigies of gold, decorated with magnificent finery stretches far as the eye can see. Born of Nikola Tesla's vision, the Helios serves as a haven for the greatest scientific minds. An unbound utopia for research, independent from state, isolated from the gaze of society, free to push the boundaries of matter and time. Journalist Rose Archer steps aboard the Helios in search of her sister Ada. She quickly discovers not all as it seems. Grand halls stand empty. The stench of rotting flesh lingers in the air. Silence. A single word is painted across the entrance. Quarantine.
That actually sounds really good. It sounds a bit like a Bioshock intro.
I was going to say, it sounds ace. If Bioshock hadn't already come out.
Yeah. Any PC gamers, if you're picking up Close to the Sun on May 2nd, please let us know what it's like.
Yeah, I'd like to know what it's like.
Yeah, that's piqued our interest a little bit.
It's piqued yours. What else has piqued yours? Have a little rummage. What are you going to pull out?
Another PC title on May 2nd, Pandemic Express.
He's been loading up on these PC titles.
Welcome to Pandemic Express, Zombie Escape. We've played a lot of Zombie Escape style mods and wanted to make something standalone and on a large scale. Up to 30 players spawn in a large world. One of them gets randomly infected. That's quite a cool idea. And has to spread the infection, turning everyone into zombies. The human players desperately try to escape on a train through an onslaught of what seems like endless zombie hordes. First standalone zombie mode on a massive scale. Unique co-op experience with ad hoc teams, vehicles, a large open world and a train. So random and a train.
Sort of thing I would write.
Distinctive art style and game atmosphere. Yes, it sounds like an interesting idea.
I can't quite remember, but something tells me Pandemic Express might be a slightly more budget title. And it might not be working.
It might be HQ in audit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that high praise, but that means, looking at it, we've seen every other thing in Stingray's boot here. We've seen these VHS a million times. The only thing left in the boot here is this. Oh, well, it is. It's Ditto's Swords of Ditto, Mormo's Curse on the Switch, coming out May 2nd. The Swords of Ditto, Mormo's Curse is a compact RPG, action RPG that creates a unique adventure for each new hero of legend in the relentless fight against the evil Mormo. Explore a delightful but dangerous overworld, brave menacing dungeons, and improve your hero in a charming village. During your quest to overcome the evil that plagues the island, unleash the mystical Sword of Ditto and grab a co-op friend for an unforgettable adventure filled with delightful characters, extraordinary loot, and heroic battles. Unique adventures linked together. Each adventure becomes its own legend, both distinct for those that came before and after as part of heroic legacy that binds them together. The deeds, successes and failures of each hero's adventures have implications for those that follow, including the ability to find weapons and recover loot from history's fallen heroes. And that sounds like it's got a roguelike vibe to it. That sounds pretty cool. It's solo and cooperative, weapons, items and stickers, main quest. I probably won't be picking that one up, but you're a Switch owner. How's that sound to you?
Okay, yeah, I've seen again the the eShop does tend to get flooded with titles, and you can miss so much.
It's a common complaint I'm hearing that it's starting to fill up with a lot of race to the bottom tap.
There's some good stuff on there, but then it sometimes is buried beneath just so many other titles.
Tom, I'm sure there's enough gold underneath this bunker for me and you both to retire, but digging it, refining it, and getting it out is no guarantee of rich and wealth.
Yeah, it's hard to. I think it is hard for
I think a lot of the online digital stores tend to become so. It's like when you look on your phone, when you go in the App Store, there's so much noise you can't work out what's good. Anyway, moving on. Tom, what are you looking at playing next week?
I reckon I'm going to pick up Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Probably on the PS4 if it's a bit cheaper than the Switch version.
So we're going to don full hazmat gear, pick up your copy of Days Gone with the bio tongs.
We're trading it in.
I'm keeping mine.
I might trade mine.
Oh right, you're going to trade it. You're going to take that chance to death and turn it into a fighting chance to live. I see what you've done there. I thought you were going to just wheel it around the back and throw it in the pit, but instead, no. He's going to give its life to Stingray for return of something else.
Maybe someone will pick it up and go, "That's really good."
To be fair, I would imagine Days Gone would be a straight. You were definitely going to walk out of that shop with Hellblade.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Stingrays, or I might just have a look on the digital store. And
you've still got something in your pile of shame that you bought in the last digital sale.
The Order. You won't let me forget.
Oh, like I will. I will never will. 30 years from now.
The day you play Overwatch, so we'll finish The Order.
You're missing out. Not me.
I know.
What am I going to play?
Probably deserves more.
I'm going to play a bit more Days Gone. I think it deserves it. I think now I'm getting into it as a game, an actual game, not an experience.
Yeah.
It's certainly, compared to some of the tosh I've been playing, 24, Lair, Days Gone, there's one way of improving your experience with Days Gone. Play something terrible, then play Days Gone. Feels like a masterpiece.
Good
and
advice.
To that, one would have to say, that's all we've got time for this week, listeners. And as always, thank you for your time, and we look forward to the pleasure of speaking to you again next week. Until then, happy gaming, and remember, there's nothing wrong with being given the unofficial controller. It's what you do with it that counts. See you, Tom.
Cheers, dude.